Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here, basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation, basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is future creation in SB account and Amazon account and India account. And so that is the topic, basically. So, in this way, we now the topic which we are discussing, one of the person told that Sunil, basically, you told in previous video that the Canada basically is giving the power supply to the India. So one person told that how basically we can verify this. Yeah, basically that is the question basically. Whatever thing basically you are doing, telling basically that how you can verify this. Verify means you have to check basically because this type of thing you basically never have thought also. Software industry that are the TCS like company, Amazon like company, then the because Amazon is also one of the software company now. Then Microsoft like company, Oracle, these all big companies. Then base companies that are Accenture, Capgemini, Patmi, eClearX, Ria Infotech. So these all are company basically how they are going to verify this because they might have never thought this basically that computer power is getting on the base of that Canada land. If that land will get disappear, your computer will not get on basically. But that will never happen. That is only in story basically. That is in movie. Only in movie this type of activity happens that land get disappear, all computer of the India basically will get off. That only happens in movie basically. But in real basically it doesn't happen basically. Just a minute. In real basically this doesn't happen. It's only in movie basically. Only in movie basically you can see this type of scenes. In real basically, have you ever seen basically you are walking somewhere basically and suddenly the thousand building basically got disappeared under the land basically and land also basically got disappeared. That type of activity basically you have ever seen basically? No. Why? Because that only happens in movie basically. And movies are movies basically. But in real basically, this type of activity will never happen. If happen then basically it's a world end. Basically. If that mostly basically will happen, then it's a world end. But that will never happen. Why? Because there are lots of tasks basically which are going to happen. So that basically mostly will never happen basically. But then also basically movie has created basically. But for that basically we can't do anything. So movie creator basically they are going to do their task. Basically. So just they are going to do their task basically. What are tasks basically they have given by the sort of group basically. So they are going to do that basically. So one person basically asked the question here. So well, basically you told that basically from this land 100 crore child got birth. From that land 200 crore child got birth. From this land 500 crore child got birth. So that is land basically, right? So in this basically we are discussing about land only. That is Kerala land, Gujarat land, Assam land, Hyderabad land, Maharashtra land, Karnataka land, Tamil Nadu land, Bihar land, Uttar Pradesh land, Madhya Pradesh land, Jharkhand land. So these all are basically what here basically. So you want to say that basically the Kerala basically the population which has got the birth that has got birth basically from that land basically you want to say that basically from that land power supply they have got the birth. You want to say that basically because why Kerala basically got that land basically that is question basically That is not question basically. That is a question. So one of the person told that casteism basically, that is there is one caste basically, that is Malayali caste, Malayali language basically. Then Bihari group, Uttar Pradesh people, Jharkhand people, Punjabis, Sardarjis. That means Punjabi and Sardarji both are one. So Uttar Pradesh people, Tamil Nadu people, these all are basically one caste base. So you want to say that this particular caste basically came from this land. If I say this type of the activity basically, then it would be correct or wrong. That is question basically. And caste basically gets enhance also. Enhance means it gets change, it gets add, modify, delete. Lots of things basically happens. So this entire thing basically is connected with the land creation or basically what way. Because according to the land creation, your changes basically happens. That is by default. In that basically doctor observes each and every change. Doctor know that basically so one of the person told that before the doctor gets the information, the land group basically gets the information that this is the changes basically which is going to happen in the body basically. That is actually question basically, that is supposed to be thing basically, because it's connected with lots of things basically. That's why one person told that Canada basically 2 kilometer area land basically is giving the power supply to 850 crore computers in India. So in India basically computer is on the base of that land basically. So one person told that you can of the land area, for example 2 kilometer area basically is one land. From there basically the power supply is coming. So you basically can switch off that land area power supply. That basically is possible basically by the human people basically. You can just switch off the power supply, stabilizer or whatever basically transmitter and whatever basically transistor basically are there. Many equipment basically are there in the electronic field. That B electronic group and the B tech electronic group basically and tech group basically they went you know. I'm basically from the background of the BCom basically. So one person told that that only basically can happen. But land is basically 24 hours basically it is giving the power supply. So is it possible to switch off the land power supply? Because somebody might have tried this basically. When computer was invented basically in India and when the Canada land was uh, selected for the power supply, that time basically somebody might have thought this basically. That is it possible basically we have already started the power supply. But to switch off that power supply basically what we have to do? So that connects to one disease that is lakwa. One person told that you are basically hand basically is having problem. So that is basically lakwa side effect basically you have got. So that connects to lakwa basically. But this type of thing basically never happens basically. And has never happened basically in the entire life of the journey of the earth planet. In earth planet journey basically this type of thing basically has never happened. That somebody basically switched off that Canada land power supply, which is coming from the land, basically. Because that is not possible here, basically. But for universe, this is a normal task. The universe group, basically, who are into satellite, basically, this is a normal task for that group. But the Earth planet people basically can't think also. They basically can't think this thing basically which I have just told you. Just so whatever things basically I have told, this has never been thought, but somebody might have thought basically, right? Somebody might have thought basically, and that time basically he might have given this task to certain departments also, because if any basically idea comes into the brain basically, that gets implemented one day. That is the nature rule basically. Whatever idea comes into your brain, that is going to implement one day, which is going to implement one day. If the person basically got the idea that that person basically is very rich or basically high profile like government group basically gets this information, then they basically do this idea basically implementation. So one person told that in Canada basically Lakwa disease basically never comes basically. For example, one person told भाई मेरा hand जो है that connected to Lakwa side effect due to lots of tension basically I got due to I have not got the job. Mumbai given trouble, Bangalore given trouble, Chennai group basically given trouble, Gujaratis given trouble, Malayali given trouble, Tamil group basically given trouble. Due to this now basically my hand got some Lakwa side effect. Even Marathi group basically given trouble, Jharkhand group basically given trouble. So due to this basically my hand got side effect of Lakwa basically. So just taking as an example basically. In really basically I have not learned. So one person was like that is Lakwa basically. If by chance it will happen in Canada, that will be Lakwa disease for Indian software company. That will be the Lakwa disease for the Indian software company. If basically this will happen in future. For example, human basically gets Lakwa right in hand basically. Why? Because he got lots of tension by set of groups. So this if it will get implemented in future basically. So this will be the Lakwa disease for software companies and their entire group. So just so one person told that yeah, it's very dangerous thing. One person told that Sunil basically in this world basically one day basically the horn basically of the vehicle basically. What is the count of horn vehicle basically per day basically? Per day basically in environment basically how many horn gets on basically? How many horn basically gets give the sound basically? So you basically hear the sound effect of the horn. So what is the count of that basically per day? So few people basically given many ideas. Just now basically I heard basically one horn. So from that basically I got this idea. So one person told that that count basically might be because in one city only basically you get more than 10 crore horn basically per day. One city basically I'm telling. So that's whole world basically. So it might be how much basically. Few people says that that might be 90 lakh crore. Few people says that 80 lakh crore. Few people says that 10 lakh crore. 10 lakh crore basically. 10 lakh and then crore. 7% of it might be this number basically. Why? Because in one city of India basically 10 lakh horn basically gets on basically. get blast, get blessed basically you can say, or basically you can say other word, horn gets activated. Because if you are doing horn basically, then how the environment basically gets sound effect. That is the environment horn gets activation because if a horn is one government basically told that we will close the entire horn basically from one city, so they have to remove that energy. Then only basically the horn gets off basically. So that up to that level basically government have the control. For example, one person told that there is one vehicle basically which got basically outdated. So we have basically completely stopped that vehicle. So one person told that for that basically we have to remove the entire energy because there was some problem basically, and we have taken the entire vehicles from the market also, and there is no single vehicle basically in the environment. So government told that basically why unnecessary basically we are creating global warming issue, because this converts to global warming issue basically, because data keeps on processing, that's why. So one person told that this count basically you have told that unwanted basically unexpected energy basically in the environment. So you have the list of unexpected energy basically which is inside the environment basically. So one person told that no basically we don't have the data. Why? Because we never required. If you might have collected this, then basically the global warming little bit percentage basically might have solved long before. But we have the data basically. But the implementation in environment basically that is very risky basically, because that connects to the human body basically. Human body has connected with that energy. If we suddenly basically close that energy, then it will create problem to us only, to government, because then basically few disease gets generates, lots of things basically gets happen. Because if you are closing any of the vehicle energy basically from the market, then it's very dangerous task. It seems to be very easy because it seems to be very easy. Why? Because you just have to remove the environment basically, energy from the environment. But it has connected to your body basically. That basically you basically are not supposed to forget. It has connected to your energy, your body, and blood cells has also generated. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the each and every creation basically are connected here. So one person told that that caste basically, that is the Kerala language caste basically, came from that land. Gujarati language basically came from that land. That is fact, because this land basically is connected with Gujarat. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the creations are basically done. Same way, the computers are getting energy from that Canada land. And computer is one language also you can say, like Gujaratis, Malayalis. Computer is one language. If you want to give some name basically, you can give that basically. But this has converted into one language. Why? Because it's getting power supply from that land basically. By chance that land will get disappear, that language will get disappear. But that basically is only in the film basically. But in real basically this doesn't happen. But in film basically they gives everything basically. Start to end. So one person told that this mostly basically it is not possible that suddenly basically the Canada land basically get disappear. That 2 kilometer only basically. Entire Canada basically. But that is not possible basically. Why? Because land will never get disappear. Few land will get separate basically. That basically happens. In Canada basically, many land basically has separated. Why? Because it's a very cold temperature data. And in that data basically The Indian people, Pakistanis, Tamil Nadu, this hot environment also basically gets merged. So that is basically by default basically land will get cracked. For that basically you have to prepare with your environment basically. So that basically the people, so that is basically supposed to prepare by the visa department basically. That is basically why they have issued the visa basically. If they were not prepared basically. Land has got cracked basically. That means the environment was not settled. For that basically the visa department basically are responsible. So that basically we are not talking about the error of the visa department. Visa department say that basically we basically can think up to what level basically. We can basically think up to what level. That is also they are also basically correct. So the environment handling basically is the duty of Canadian government. So they know that basically Indian government basically are little bit hot in the energy. Tamil Nadu group are also basically hot. Pakistanis are also little bit hot energy. American groups are normal energy. That depends upon the environment. That depends upon the injection basically when they gets the birth. That time basically what injection they get. So lots of parameters are there basically. Lots of people say that food might be the problem. Food is also one of the parameters. But it connects to injection. From injection basically, DTT ka injections to medicines, everything basically they have. The culture, the language which they speak, the food you eat, the behavior basically you are with the relatives, these each and every behavior basically culture basically comes into the picture. And there is one project basically of the culture also basically, of Indian culture, Pakistani cultures, Canadian culture, American culture, European culture. So there are many softwares also created for this culture stuff. Basically. So from there basically, environment data basically are easily prepared. Basically. The reason you have to set the environment of Canada so that the land basically which is getting cracked, that will not happen. That means error basically has generated. So that is basically a different topic basically. But we thought that basically if India is getting that data basically, power data from Canada land, so that's basically duty of India group basically. Because if that crack basically happens in that computer area, that is going to affect to 850 computers which are getting on. It might possible some disease basically will connect to your body basically, when you are owning the computer. But that basically are taken care of by the virus department. That is the antivirus biotic group basically are there. They basically know how many power supplies are getting supplied to each and every computer. The power supply basically which is getting to the computer. So one person told that this is actually error basically. So that's basically the Canadian government department basically who are basically handling the Canada basically. And there basically the Khalistani group are basically staying. And the power supply basically which comes to the India computer basically that is coming from Canadian land basically. So that we have already discussed. So one person told that yeah basically we actually never thought that basically. The computer basically which is giving the power supply that is coming from one land basically. That means, for example, in Vadodara city, one MGVCL basically one office is there basically. That is basically given name as a GB also, Gujarat Electric Board basically that electronic board or electric board, electricity board. So one person told that that group basically gets the data for specially computer from Canada basically. Here basically I taken as a Canada basically. But mostly it is Canada only, because USA don't have any space basically. So the country would be that country where spaces are basically there. Europe also basically don't have space. Canada is the country basically which have space, plus they have the good environment also. So that mostly is Canada. But we can't say. Why? Because this type of information basically you can't get in the Google also. Because if you write basically Google, that basically I want the source of 850 crore computer basically from where the power supply we are getting. Google will not understand. Why? This is new concept basically. What actually I am telling them. So one person told that. So that is mostly not possible to get this type of information because you will never get that basically Canada basically is giving the power supply. You will never get the information. That is not possible, yeah, basically. That is not possible. So one person told that why basically they have given Canada land the entire India's power supply. There might be some reason basically. So that connects to few people basically who actually created this software. That is 90,000 crore basically money was collected for World Trade Center. Here basically I had taken example of World Trade Center. But in real basically it can be any incidents basically. So on the basis of that basically they have given data to Canada basically. That is a power supply data. So you can just imagine basically how the world is created. How the world is created. For that basically you can just imagine. Just so one person told that, but in real basically assume that basically that land got disappeared. Because we have to think up to the level basically. Because it's a 850 crore computer will get off basically just within 1 second basically. Entire task will get off basically. Because nowadays from computer only basically each and every task are getting handled. Aadhaar card, pan card, each and every information basically are coming from computer basically. Mobile number information, each and every stuff. So you can just imagine. But that is not possible. Why? Because do you think basically the Canada land will get disappear basically? That 2 kilometer area basically, from where the power supply are getting. That is not possible. It might possible that it can send the cancer data. That is possible. Computer group basically can get the cancer data. But that the India power companies are basically tracking each and every stuff basically. And antivirus basically groups are there who they are also tracking everything basically. They are getting money basically for what basically? They are tracking the cancer data basically. If they track that basically they are have got the cancer data this day, they immediately informs the Indian government that cancer data basically has received from power supply. But this antibiotic group also basically never gets the information. Why? This is filtered by the power company basically. Power company filters the cancer data. But sometime basically by mistake basically the cancer data comes to your body also. And that connects to cancer disease like head cancer, neck cancer, chest cancer, stomach cancer, hand cancer, ear cancer, eye cancer. So many basically head cancer means everything basically came into picture. So you can just imagine basically how the world is already created. and world is going smoothly basically. That means world is created perfectly basically. You can't blame the earth also, creator basically who created the world, who created the world. You basically can't tell also basically. So one of the person told that what a world basically has created. The example is computer power supply. So one of the person basically asked the question. In this world basically, assume that basically there are 9 lakh crore computers basically. Here basically number basically doesn't matter. But this type of number only might be there basically. Exact number basically don't nobody have basically. Assume that basically in this world 9 lakh crore computer basically exist. Or basically 8 lakh take it. 8 lakh crore computer exists in the world. So they are getting power supply from which land. That data basically we have. Then one of the person told that yeah, that data basically I think nuclear power company might be having, because they are only basically doing the filtration of each and every data, because we are not getting directly data from the land basically. Data basically we are not getting directly from the land basically. It's coming from the filtration data basically. Power supply, energy company, nuclear power company, they do the certain level of process basically. Then only basically it comes. And it might possible that data basically might be getting processed to that 1 lakh age group also. Then basically the human gets the data that are the normal humans basically who are we. So it's a huge level of process. Then basically we gets the data. So 1 lakh age people basically gets the data first in Earth planet. Whatever data basically is given to the Earth planet. So you can just understand basically what is the stuff basically. So you can just understand it, how the world is connected. How the world basically is created. So you can just understand. So in this basically the world basically is created up to what level basically, that you can basically just understand. So assume that basically Canada land got disappeared suddenly. Now what are things basically going to happen? Anything is going to happen. The computer will get off. But that is going to affect the environment. That is also a question. It will get affected. But after certain days. Because from computer basically, the environment group basically are taking the data. and that data basically segregated or basically spread it to the environment basically, so that the earthquake basically doesn't come. So by chance basically that get land basically got disappeared, computer got 850 computer basically got off suddenly. Then after 2 3 days basically the big earthquake will come. Why? Because 850 crore basically computer of India basically are handling the earthquake department also. Earthquake data is also basically they are handling the government basically, that are the software companies basically, that are the 850 crore computer basically who actually created the software, everything basically which is getting on basically, each and every stuff basically that is getting on, that will connect to big earthquake. But do you think basically this type of thing basically is possible? This seems to be story basically. This seems to be movie basically. But in real, this type of thing will never happen here basically. If this type of thing will happen, then basically that's a world last day. World last day. But this will happen basically. Why? Because satellite group basically gets advanced data of 1 week, 2 week. That this is the power supply going to pass. That's all basically. So 2 week basically world is not going to end with. Why? Because they have sent already the data. So that's why lots of people says that we are very confident basically. That world will not end for 2 weeks. So at least basically world will not end for 2 weeks. Because we have already got the data. And that data is basically getting processed. That data basically is getting processed. Just one person told that yeah, basically suddenly one city basically got disappeared from the world. Where that city has gone basically, we don't have any idea. That is possible basically. Is that thing basically possible? This type of thing basically might happen basically. Because lots of things basically happens, we basically never get the information. But do you think basically this is possible? One person basically asked the question. Do you think basically this is possible? That suddenly basically entire city got disappeared and nobody basically got the information in the world basically. But that mostly basically will never happen. Why? Because world is in advance prepared basically. Why? Because 2 weeks data basically is already given to the earth land by the satellite group. If the city basically is going to disappear suddenly, so that information also basically they are giving in advance. So for 2 week basically nothing basically happens. Whatever thing basically is going to happen, that data basically they have given basically. But big level data basically they have told that basically city will never get disappeared. Canada basically land nothing is going to happen. This type of thing basically is not going to happen. Why? Because in advance basically 2 week data basically they have already given to Earth planet. So one person told that in Canada, basically, the most of people are Khalistani, that are basically Punjabi group, basically Khalistani group, and in Canada, basically, most of people basically are Canadian. But here, one of the person basically asked the question: in Canada, basically, they have issued the visa, basically, right? They have told that basically we are going to give visa to this whole country. That means the land basically who actually are taking care of that land, and the environment basically who's taking care of the Canada basically, they might have 100% told that basically that this whole group basically can get the visa. So visa department basically what they do, they basically don't check basically the visa is supposed to give or not give. They basically checks that only basically that, sorry, they basically don't check the land area basically. They only checks, gets the information this person is supposed to get the visa and this person is basically not supposed to get the visa on the basis of certain level of parameters which is given to them basically. So visa department basically came out from this picture basically. So nobody can blame the visa department, but they have the parameter that they have to check. So one person basically told that Canada land will never get disappear. Do you think basically Canada land will get disappear? Because they have given the visa to their other countries basically. And their other countries data basically they are having the entire data in the environment. Then how basically the land will get disappear? Because if this mismatch na basically, then it might possible that land will get disappear. Or basically the land will get cracked, lots of things basically will happen. But big level mismatch basically will disappear the land also. But for that basically they get the data in advance basically. That 2 weeks basically they have given the data and they have already told that basically this land will get disappear. But that basically is not possible. This type of big level error basically the country like Canada basically can't do. And the country like India basically connected with the Canada, they there basically more than 5 crore people basically are of Indian basically. 5 crore Indian are going to affect basically. If anything basically happens to Canada land. So for 5 crore India population basically, India also will help Canada basically. Because it's going to affect to 5 crore people basically. And unnecessarily basically the 5 crore people will come back to India, and for 5 crore basically they have to generate the job basically. That will create lots of problem basically. So they will basically never do that basically. So they will never do basically that, because it is going to affect to 5 crore people. And then basically from where basically they are going to get the job basically for 5 crore, that is possible basically. They basically can't give the existing people job basically. Then basically why they are, how they are going to give this 5 crore job basically? How they are going to generate 5 crore people job? Because they can't give the existing people also job. The Indian government. So this will become very big burden basically for Indian government. For Indian government. So Indian government only basically at the space basically are there, satellites are there. In the satellite also basically Indian people basically are there. They also helps Canada basically. Why? There people, Indian people basically are staying. That is the 5 crore in India, in Canada basically. 5 crore is a not a normal amount, normal number basically. So one of the person told that that is basically very dangerous here. That means Canada basically government basically have to think up to very dangerous level because 5 crore energy basically which Canadian basically Indian government are Indian group are getting, they are getting from India also. Indian power supply basically are giving the power supply to Indian group. So it might possible that the data which is given by the Indian group that might create problems. But that type of thing basically is Indian government basically why they will do basically. That is also a question basically. What they are going to do. They are going to send some bad data to Canada. That if you will do bad to Indian basically then your Canada land will get effect. So that type of mentality basically India have. Or basically in future basically if Canada group will create problem to India country, then we have basically kept something basically in environment. That type of thing basically India can do. That is not possible here. That seems to be good in movie basically, in serials, movie. But in real basically this type of activity anybody can do basically. That if you will create problem to India people or basically India land, we have basically sent lots of data to you. That will create problem to you in future. That type of activity is that type of activity is the Indian power company, Indian nuclear power company, energy company, this group basically will do. That is not possible. So one person told that the land will get disappear in future basically by chance basically land gets disappear of the any of the country. So this will be the reason. That is the power supply which is passed to countries to countries. And that is well organized basically. So this type of silly mistake basically the power company, nuclear power company, energy company will never do that. They will never do. Why? Because each and every energy basically have tested. Then only basically they are basically sent to the land area. So it's a very dangerous thing. So you can't play with the nature. Basically. You basically can't play with the nature. So one person basically told that he basically want to take the entire control of the world with him. So what plan basically he has made? Basically? So just one person told that which plan basically he has made. Which plan basically they have made. One person tells that basically each country basically have their policies, right? Basically that if you are dealing with this country, they are going to deal with you in this way only. If you are dealing with that country, they are going to deal with you in this way only. Why? Because their policy is like that basically. Because their land, they have created their policies on the base of the land, surface areas, environment, energies, and blood cells basically, which has created by their past families, past groups that are the purvaj basically. You can say. So according to that only basically they have to handle the country basically. According to that only basically you can handle the country. So country policy is the base, and that is created on the base of country's culture, land culture, then human culture, human body culture, human blood cells culture. So many cultures basically are there. So one of the person told that, yeah, first of all, basically we don't know that basically our power supply is coming from this Canada land. It might possible that it might be coming, but how to check that? That is question. Basically. How we can confirm that basically the 850 crore computer basically which is coming to India land, that is coming from this land only. Basically. How we can confirm this? Basically? Because you have to confirm it basically. Otherwise, basically, one day the creators that are the computer creators, company creators, they will disappear from India basically. Then what you are going to do basically? That will come to the government basically. Then government basically will get in trouble. Why? Because public is going to ask government only basically. Why with you power company? Why the power supply got off suddenly? You have the data basically. You have the data. Public basically what they are going to say. Basically. Public basically what they are going to tell you. They can't do anything. Basically. Because they basically say that basically what there is nothing basically in our hand basically. Public basically say nothing is basically in our hand. Because rules get implementation after basically the all the tasks basically are done. They have implemented everything basically in land basically. After that the rules gets implemented. That is the India policy. So one of the country person told that basically we are basically going to deal the business basically with India. So for that basically what is the best way to understand? So please understand the policy of the country. This example basically I have already given. One example. The rule basically is getting implementation in Supreme Court, that is already implemented in land basically. Everything is done, plan is done, everything is done basically. Implementation done, two, three generation, one generation also basically completed. After that, basically they have implemented the rule basically. One generation completed. So that is culture of India. So according to that, only basically you have to do the business with India. Why India has got this type of land? Basically, what they can do for that? Basically, they are not responsible. Basically, somebody has given the land to India. Basically, and they have started their journey from India land. Basically, for that, basically, what they can do? Basically, what they can do? Whatever country basically is supporting India, they basically started keeping relationship with India. The country who basically not supported India, then basically they become enemy basically. That basically journey is still ongoing basically. Still basically that journey is ongoing. That policy basically comes into the picture. Policy is there basically, that basically comes into the picture. Just so one person told that yeah, he actually never thought that 850 crore computer basically are getting the power supply from that Canadian land basically. And we never thought that basically 90,000 crore basically money which was collected for the New York Stock Exchange, not New York Stock Exchange, New York, I think World Trade Center. We never thought this year. So Canadian group basically are very intelligent. That's why they have got this opportunity. That also you can say. I mean, few people basically done this software basically. They created this software. And on the base of that basically the Canada government basically, Canada basically country gets it opportunity. For their for that basically they are getting good money also basically. because to keep 850 computers, basically 850 crore computers to get on, the Infosys like company, TCS company, basically, they are earning more than 100 crore, basically. 100 crore, basically, they are. So to keep computer on, basically, they can't spend basically the money. The government basically are getting the tax and they are paying the money to the Canadian group, basically. Because you can't say the TCS that basically from this area basically we are getting the power supply. Otherwise, TCS will become government. But mostly the task basically are done by the private group only, basically, and they are connected with the governments. Basically. So governments lots of information basically the private companies knows because they have done the task na basically. TCS like company basically in India was implemented first. So they know that basically power supply is coming from that Canada land. So they keeps the relationship with the Canada basically. They keeps on giving business, they keeps on giving soft company creation, they keeps on sending the people, they keeps on maintaining the relationship. Why? Because they know that basically. By chance basically something will happen. But in something basically the relationship basically it might not be the issue basically. The issue might be the land only. Basically. By chance basically in future anything basically happen. But this basically mostly will never happen. Why? Because they are doing everything basically in advance. 2 weeks data basically passed in Earth planet by the satellite group of the power supply company. So they get the advanced data basically of 2 week. So do you think basically so 2 week would be the enough basically? But this type of thing will never happen. Why? Because in movie basically you can see that land get got disappeared suddenly when you are walking basically some suddenly basically the 1,000 building basically got disappeared, 2,000 building got disappeared, 1 lakh building got disappeared. That type of thing basically you can see in movie basically. That is good in movie basically. But in real basically that is not possible. Yeah, that is not possible. That type of thing basically is not possible in real life. But that is possible for satellite group. This type of activity is very simple for satellite group. But for Earth planet people basically that is dream type. Dream means impossible task basically. So Canada land will never get disappear. An 850 crore computer basically is going to get power supply from certain level of areas. And on the base of that basically the computers are getting on and softwares are getting created and software companies are doing their task. That also perfectly. They are earning 100 crore dollar basically. So if they are earning money, that means they are doing their task perfectly. They are doing their task perfectly basically. And Canadian government are also getting the money. That means they are also giving power supply perfectly. That means they have the entire layer of power supply of computers. That this is the Microsoft computer. So they have to get the give the power supply to each and every computer like this data. So they have the entire layer that is the design of computer with them. That is the Canadian government. And 850 crore computer basically is not a small number basically. It's a huge number. 850 crore basically. I'm telling you. 850 crore. Not 8 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh. It's a 850 crore computers which are basically in India basically. Which is getting power supply. Which is getting power supply from Canada. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this.